Well, my hair is gone, and with that, all of my brains. So enjoy this video. We're going to be talking about Bionicle Generation 3. Is it confirmed? Okay. No, it's not. I'm being hyperbolic, but I love the design of these pieces, and I really want them. If you guys watched the last video, you saw these pieces. They may have stuck out to you because they're basically Bionicle weapons. Sure, they don't have the pistons or all the greebling and stuff. They're actually very heavily taking inspiration from this piece and its sort of wave pattern here, which I adore. I think it's such a good pattern, such a good design to keep building upon, and to see that these are not just blades, these are hooks specifically. Who does that make you think of? Well, if you're thinking of a Bionicle character, who is known for the hooks? Kali Mata specifically. I would love to see these in more colors. I'm crossing my fingers for pearl, dark gray, flat silver, maybe even blue. And if there is any remote chance in the future of a Bionicle line, use them. In fact, don't just use these. Bring us like other weapons inspired by the 2001 pieces, but with this kind of design pattern. It's such a cool and unique design, but it pulls things together. I really love it. That said, though, if you guys have seen my Gali G2 revamp, to focus on that here for a minute, you'll know that it's, well, I shouldn't even call it a revamp really. This is just a mod. It just basically changes some colors around, and it has been showcased in a previous video. Now, there is some flat silver still in here, but it introduces a lot more gunmetal to her color scheme, and so I would love to add these hooks to her as well. I used to actually keep these little bladed weapons on the back of her upper legs, the idea being that if she's, swimming around underwater and maybe her leg gets caught in some kelp or whatever, that she has these little point defense blade machete things for just cutting through whatever she finds herself coming up against. And so to have something like these hooks, yeah, they're clearly bigger, of course, but I mean, I'm not against including those on a character like this. I don't really care for the gold on this character specifically. It doesn't look great in my opinion. But if we got them in gunmetal, even if we got them in flat silver, it's such a good design, and I could very easily see them replacing even these weapons here. And then I could use something else for flippers. I don't even care. That said, though, it makes me think about projects, right? If we get those pieces in gunmetal, there are obviously a lot more pieces that I'm going to want in those colors as well. As I mentioned, this does still have some flat silver like these fists, these armor pieces, and that's not because I was trying to be strategic, we just don't have them in gunmetal. I think that'd be a little too much of that color for this character anyway, but it would be nice to see them, and I know how to make them, so why not try? Here's the thing. I am known for obviously modifying Bionicle pieces, creating new Bionicle pieces. I resin cast, I dye things, I sculpt things, I paint things, I do, whatever, right? And so I want to take you along on this journey as well. It's definitely been a long time coming, of course, and we're still a little ways out from being able to do that. I still just have the one camera, but hopefully here in the near future, as finances start to come in and savings start to build up, finally, the hardships, the hard year is, for the most part, over. Hopefully we can invest some of that money into the channel, not just for another camera, but a better PC and things like that, so that edited content can come out here as well. And I would love to take you into the other room. There's not a lot here to really tour, so to speak. I'd love to still do a little bit of a collection tour, I guess, but I'm no Duck Bricks. I don't have a set of stairs to walk down, not that it's necessary. I've just got my little collection that surrounds me and warms the space that I'm, occupying. But that said, the room right next to me, right behind this wall here, is basically the little office / storage area. It's an absolute disaster, as is life, right? But at the end of the day, I can take you over there. We can do resin casts on camera. We can do painting on camera. We can do sculpting on camera, and we can even dye things on camera. Now, dyeing Bionicle parts, I have a bit of a story, and I want to go ahead and finish off this video talking about this, because I talk about gunmetal specifically, and I bring that up because we got masks like this in Generation 2 Bionicle. We got a lot of different masks in Generation 1 as well. A lot of different pieces in general that I would have loved to have seen in other colors. But unfortunately, we just didn't get them in as many as we could have. And crazy as it is to think about, this is actually one of the only masks that we have in gunmetal from Bionicle specifically. It's insane to think about because it is a fairly popular color to build with, but even with the Skull Villain line, we never got the Skull Basher mask or the Skull Spider mask in that color for that matter. And these are not real Lego pieces. Well, they are technically real Lego pieces, not real Lego colors. And you can see that they're different colors. This is where the story comes in, because oddly enough, these went into the exact same batch of dye for the same amount of time, and they came out completely different colors. Because this was the first and only batch of dye that I've had that completely failed. It could have been a disaster, speaking of that. So long story short, I was using a handful of chemicals, and at the end of the day, this is a chemistry project, right? It is a chemical reaction. And for the first time ever, it decided to bubble over, to get excited, right? And so that can be kind of dangerous. There are some flammable chemicals here. Heat is involved, so no open flames, thankfully. We were perfectly safe, but still, it's a lot of dye that's overflowing. That can do a lot of damage. I was lucky enough to obviously be there when it happened, and of course I cleaned up immediately. So thankfully, nothing was discolored, but very easily could have been. It got on the floor, it got on the front of like countertops and things like that, and it was a mess. Either way, I went ahead and pulled these masks out when this happened, of course, and interestingly, they came out different colors. So I find that really fascinating because it actually shows me that it's pretty possible to get that gunmetal color from Lego. Yeah, it's off here. It's a little too dark. It's too blue, whatever, that's fine. But it's not about getting it perfect the first time. It's seeing that the project can work, right? And specifically, these are ABS plastic. What I've learned from trying to dye things in the past is that ABS definitely accepts dye much better than like polypropylene, which weapons are often made of and certain types of armor are often made of. Transparent plastics often take dyes much better as well. So you have a lot of options, metallic plastics, etc. It's almost like a little tier list, and the more sort of check boxes that are filled in, the more likely a chance that it's going to accept dye or going to work out for your project. But at the end of the day, there's no guarantee because it's chemistry. It's a chemical process. And the craziest thing about all of this is that dyeing pieces is not like painting them. I think that there's a lot of people that think it is the first time they try, but dye is a transparent layer over top of the base color. And so it's not unlike a thin coat of paint where this dark azure is really important, because if I wanted to dye this mask red, it's not happening, not over a color like this. But if this was a white mask, well, maybe red could be a little more feasible. Not really. White has its own problems, but crazy thing is, each piece, each base color, each shape even, like, will react differently. It's so crazy because I have pulled two of the exact same pieces out of the exact same dye and had them behave completely differently. I've put, pearl silver borak eyes and the Ninjago tail piece, Slicer Robo Rider head piece, whatever you want to call it, into dyes as well, and they were pearl silver going in. They came out and they just didn't have a lot of color to them. Meanwhile, I put a mask like the silver Liwa Nuva Miru, because I got a bunch of them while they were still cheap way back, into dye, and it accepted it really well. One of the most beautiful dyed pieces I have ever made, and hopefully we'll be making more of. But it just goes to show you that sometimes you know exactly what you're putting into a project, but you don't always know what's going to come out of it. So anyway, let's go ahead and cross our fingers. We're going to get a Bionicle G3. Probably not. I'm not going to complain if we do, and even if we don't. Those hooks, chef's kiss, right? All right, with all of that being said, that's going to be it for this one, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It does really help out the channel. Again, January, slow month. February, slow month. We're going through the rocks, the rapids, whatever. Tough times. But you can help by engaging with that algorithm. And of course, you can always join the conversation in the comments, or check out the description for Discord, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to support the channel, get some perks, and maybe help afford a better camera or something. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next one. Make sure you're subscribed, I guess. Take care.